Hi, Mr. Miller. How are you today? My name is Amy. I'm a dietetic intern.
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day out, so I'm happy to be here. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, you're right. It is a beautiful day out. Do you have any plans after this?
No, I'm just gonna head to the gym. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
That's fun, though.
Yeah.
So I see here that, um, looking at your records, that you're here for your diagnosis of high cholesterol. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I had, my yearly physical last week and the doctor took some blood and like whatever and he said that my cholesterol levels were really high and that's pretty much the only issue though. But he said like, you know, it can be a little bit harmful and like it's a little bit confusing just because I work out pretty much every single day. I feel like I eat fine, and anytime like I don't eat well, I feel like it compensates with my workout. I just kind of, it cancels it out kind of thing. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't really know why I have high cholesterol or how. I'm just a little alarmed because my father also, I guess, has high cholesterol, and it led to him having a heart attack pretty recently, and he had to have like a stent put in. Um, but yeah, so I'm just a little concerned and overall just kind of confused.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I can see why you would be confused. You seem like you're pretty physically active and um, you believe that you're relatively healthy, so it's kind of concerning. And you, like you said, you have a family history. Your father had high cholesterol. So does that concern you?
Yeah, definitely does. I'm only 22, so I think that I definitely have time to like make it better, but still, I just don't really. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, so you're a little bit confused about, how you got this diagnosis, and it seems like it's um, pretty important to you to kind of avoid what happened to avoid the diagnosis that your father had. Does
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sound right?
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just ask you a few questions so I can get to know a little bit more about, your history and your usual habits. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
So, you did mention that your father had high cholesterol. Do you have any other family history of any
Um, my
other conditions?
my mother, I think, is pre-diabetic. So she's not like full on, she has diabetes yet, but she definitely is like, if she doesn't change some of the things that she does, she'll be on her way there. But other than that, I think my grandfather on my father's side also had some heart issues. I know he had a heart attack at least once in his life, but yeah, that's really it.
Okay. And do you have any other medical conditions?
No, I had asthma when I was younger, but that went away as I got older.
Okay. And have you noticed any recent weight changes?
No, not really.
Okay. So, you said you were a little bit confused about, how you got this diagnosis. Um, I just want to go through really quickly your diet history. So I'm just going to ask you what you ate yesterday from when you woke up to when you went to sleep. It's one of the things we're going to talk about is how your diet can impact your cholesterol, and that's why you're here. So it'll just help me get a little bit more about your dietary habits.
Sure. So you just want beginning of yesterday up until today?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So for breakfast, I had two eggs scrambled with ketchup, salt, pepper. I put a little bit of cheese on there just because I like some cheese in my eggs. And I had a piece of toast with that, with, butter. And for a drink, I just had a cup of milk. And then for lunch, I had a turkey sandwich, like on a white bread um, roll, I guess. And there was lettuce, tomato, peppers, onions, put some ranch dressing on there. Again, I got it from Subway, so I had the guy put some salt and pepper on that too. Um, and that I had with a Dr. Pepper. And then for dinner, me and my girlfriend ordered pizza. We got wings and stuff, and uh, some mozzarella sticks to kind of, you know, We had mozzarella sticks, and then we just also ordered like a liter of Coke. So that was dinner, and then we shared a bag of popcorn and watched a movie, and I had like 3 beers with that. So
All right. And I'm just going to go back through and ask you some clarifying questions just so I can get a little bit more detail.
sure.
So in the morning, you said you had 2 eggs with cheese, ketchup, butter on your toast. How much cheese would you say? If you
Um,
could just use your hands.
yeah, I guess I just get like a handful and just kind of like sprinkle it over.
Okay. And butter on your toast, do you usually cook with butter or oils?
Yeah, I usually just cook with butter. We just like take a little, knife and scoop it through our butter and like just kind of plop it in the pan or whatever we're using to cook with.
Okay. And then for milk, do you use whole milk or skim milk?
I think it was, I'm not sure. I think it was some sort of like oat milk. Like my girlfriend has like some like oat or like almond milk or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then white bread. And how big would you say your Dr. Pepper was at lunch?
It was like a medium cup, so like I don't know, like decent size, I guess. Medium.
Okay. And then for dinner, you said pizza, wings, mozzarella sticks. If you could just quantify kind of about how much.
Sure. I had 2 pieces of pizza. I think I had like 3 mozzarella sticks, and I just had like 4 wings.
Okay, thank you. And you said you had 3 beers at night. Do you usually drink beer how regularly throughout the week?
Um, it depends on the day of the week. I typically drink more on the weekends. I like to hang out with my buddies. But during the week, I guess I don't drink too much. Last night, I guess I would drink like maybe 1 to 2 or maybe 1 to 3 beers every night of the week. But like I said, during the weekends, I kind of drink more than that.
Okay. And you mentioned that you work out. How often would you say you work out and what kind of exercise do you do?
I work out every day. I'm actually a trainer at the Planet Fitness, so I'm there all the time. But I get, before work or after work, I typically will come in like 2 hours or so and work out for however long that is. It's typically, like I said, like about 2 hours long. So every day.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that you were a little bit concerned about how you got this kind of diagnosis. So would you think it would be helpful for me to tell you some of the risk factors that could have led to this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because I don't really know what I've been doing that could have caused me to have it. So yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so some of the risk factors are smoking and drinking. You did say you drink a little bit regularly, being overweight, physical inactivity, which doesn't seem to be your issue at all. Family history definitely plays a role in it. So because you do have that family history, it definitely could impact it. And as far as diet goes, definitely it can be increased by high intakes of saturated fat. So if you want, we can just go through what foods those contain and how through diet you can kind of help lower your cholesterol.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so I'm just going to provide you with this handout that we can go over. So one of the main factors that can play a role in lowering your cholesterol is limiting your intake of saturated fats and trans fats. So some of these things include, foods that are high in saturated fat include fatty meat, poultry, bacon, sausage, whole milk, butter. I like to think of it as things that are solid at room temperature. So, and then trans fats are things like margarine, shortening, fried foods, packaged foods. Um, can you think of any foods in your diet that may have this saturated fat, based on your recall?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the butter. Um, and I like to bulk up sometimes, so I'll definitely have like, I guess like in the mornings too, I'll have bacon and like sausage and stuff like that with with my eggs, depending on the day.
Okay. And some other foods that can be high in cholesterol are, whole milk, cheese, like you said. One other way that you can incorporate healthier fats. So to kind of break down what cholesterol is, it's basically a waxy substance that's found in your body, and your body produces it on its own. But when you eat excess of it, it's transported in your body as two different things. It could either be LDL or HDL. So what that means is basically LDL is, we want to say, bad cholesterol, because it can line your arteries in your heart, and it can cause to plaque buildup, which can lead to a lot of heart damage. HDL is the good cholesterol. So what it does is it kind of goes through and clears out all of the bad cholesterol from your heart. So that's why if we can increase the good cholesterol levels and decrease the LDL cholesterol levels, the bad cholesterol, then that's what will prevent some of these risks of heart disease. Okay. So one way we can do this is by eating more heart healthy fats. So some heart healthy fats include salmon, tuna, eating fish, nuts, seeds, and then, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and whole grains in your diet definitely helps. And you're already physically active, so that's good too. Do you have any questions so far?
So you are just saying that there's two types of cholesterol in my body, and one is the bad kind and one is the good kind that clears out the bad kind.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm saying. So the cholesterol that you eat is kind of transported by these lipoproteins, which is LDL and HDL. So when you have more HDL by eating these healthy foods and exercising, physical activity is also another great way to increase your HDL. So, I don't know if you had a chance to look at your labs, but maybe if you could get a copy for next time, and we can take a look at your HDL levels and your LDL levels, because sometimes if they just measure total cholesterol, we aren't 100% sure about, what exact type of cholesterol. So it might be beneficial for us to take a look at your numbers together and kind of go over that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you have any knowledge about reading nutrition labels at all?
No, actually, I don't. I just kind of eat whatever's in the box and go from there.
Yeah, so do you think, beneficial to go over how to kind of spot these types of fats on a nutrition label?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is just a typical nutrition label that you would see on a product, and at the top you can see the serving size, which is 2/3 cup. And basically some of the things you want to look for are the saturated fat. So usually if something's low or high in a nutrient, if it's low, it'll be 5% or less, and if it's high, it'll be above 20%. So can you tell me, looking at this nutrition label, whether it's high or low in saturated fat?
So it looks like it is pretty low in saturated fat.
Yeah, good. So that's some of the things that you want to look out for when you are reading nutrition labels. So are there any other questions you have about the disease or kind of how diet can affect it?
Kind of. So you talked about like the different kinds of cholesterols and like how to like raise like my good cholesterol. But would it be helpful if like I don't know. I guess I definitely probably should take home one of the handouts that you're talking about, but does the nutrition label help me read like also how much cholesterol there is too? Like, should I look at both like the fat intake and the cholesterol, or?
Yeah, so you can look at the cholesterol intake also, and we can talk about some of your goals for you don't want to exceed 200 milligrams of cholesterol a day, but recent research has came out and kind of shown that cholesterol itself isn't really the main factor in high cholesterol, if that makes sense. Dietary cholesterol, it has more to do with the amount of saturated and trans fats that you are eating, and trans fats are you would want to look at too on the nutrition label if it says that it has trans fat. So specific goals you want to aim for, you want to aim for less than 1% of trans fat. You really want to limit your trans fat, and for saturated fat, less than 5% of your total calories.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, so how do I determine what is like 5% of my total like calories?
Yeah, so there are definitely, we definitely don't have to jump to right away to getting your exact amounts. I mean, we can if you think that would be really helpful for you, but we can also just focus on making small changes in your diet that can help improve your cholesterol levels, because you are very physically active, and I think that some small modifications would do the trick.
Okay.
So, after what we just talked about and looking over your diet recall, do you think that there's anything in your diet that may not go along with these guidelines that I shared, and anything that you'd be willing to change?
Well, you did mention that smoking is an issue with with cholesterol and stuff, and I don't smoke all the time, but like I said, when I'm at hanging out with my buddies on the weekends, like I definitely will have maybe one or two, cigarettes or what have you. But yeah, I definitely think I could try to like stop. It's more of a social type of thing, but I definitely think I could easily cut back on those and not really take them if they're offered to me and stuff like that.
Okay, that's a good goal. And anything else? I can help you brainstorm some ideas if you want, if that would be helpful, really helpful for you.
Yeah. Because I don't really consider my diet to be too bad, but there were things that you pointed out on your little handout thing that I definitely, eat, and yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things is definitely the amount of, if you want to limit the amount of trans or saturated fat, that mostly is going to come from, eating out processed foods, fried foods, and stuff like that. That's where you're going to get a lot of that fat, is from the fried foods. I don't know, how often would you say that you eat fried foods?
I definitely would say probably once a day at least, every day.
Okay, so that could be one option, is, limiting that, but, there's definitely some other options. So you did mention that you drink regularly too. That also could increase your cholesterol levels. And another thing is, cooking with butter, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
One way that we could do this is by switching out the butter for maybe another oil that could be healthier when you're cooking.
Okay.
Even if you didn't want to, limit your consumption frequency of eating fast food and fried foods, you could maybe just cut down on the portions that you're eating them in.
Okay.
Do any of those sound good to you?
Yeah, they all sound pretty doable for sure. I did eat quite a bit for dinner, so I probably could cut back on the, how much I get and how much we order out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that could be good.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of circle back to, why you're here, and, how important this is to you.
It's pretty important. I mean, I'm definitely a little nervous that I have high cholesterol at 22 years old, and I work out all the time, and I eat pretty okay. But I guess turns out I'm not really eating the best. But yeah, I guess it's pretty important.
Okay. So out of all the things we talked about, if you want to, pick two goals that you can kind of work towards before next session.
Okay. I guess probably cutting back on like all the fried foods that you said. That'd be Are there alternative ways to eat them though? Like, how do I avoid eating fried foods?
Yeah, I mean, there are other cooking methods that you can use. I know that you said you ordered out, but if you were gonna cook your food, you can use maybe like an air fryer, which would be use, less fat, so that would be a little bit healthier of an alternative. Or what other cooking methods do you usually use, or appliances do you have?
Well, I have pretty much all the basic appliances like stove, fridge, I have a little toaster oven, microwave. Um, I mean, I've heard a lot of cool things about air fryers though, so maybe I could invest in one of them. But yeah,
What other cooking methods do you usually use when you cook your food?
um, I put stuff in the oven, cook it. We have a grill outside, so I'll put it on the grill. If I gotta heat something, it gives it like a nice crunch to it. Yeah, so I guess like mostly on the oven, whether it's like on the stovetop or in it.
Yeah, so that's definitely one way to kind of decrease your, and especially if you're using oil with those methods instead of, butter or another fat, that would definitely be one way to decrease your saturated fat intake if you weren't going right for the fried foods. So that would definitely help.
Okay.
Is that something that you would want to do?
Yeah, I think I could definitely just switch it up by just maybe like, because I do also like even when we don't order out, I do fry stuff a lot. So yeah, I guess I could just pop it in the oven um, and like cook it that way. And I definitely think I could purchase instead of like the butter, I can probably get you know oils and other things like that.
Okay, so um, do you want to set some goals or just try some things out before next time?
All right, yeah, maybe we can just try some things out and I can see if it's working or maybe if it's like maybe make some slight adjustments to it.
Okay, so what are some of the things that you want to try before our next visit?
I guess I'll try switching from like butter to like an oil-based kind of thing, and definitely maybe try to stop smoking cigarettes whenever I am with my friends.
Okay, I think that those are really great goals. And as far as the oil, some of the oils that are definitely heart healthy, olive oil. Have you ever used that with cooking?
Mm-mm.
Maybe if you wanted to give that a try.
Sure, I can just get that anywhere, or
Yeah, you can just get that at pretty much any local supermarket that you have access to.
all right,
All right, and then stop smoking on the weekends.
yeah.
And how confident are you that you can achieve those two goals?
Out of like a scale of like 1 to 10, I guess
Yeah.
probably like an 8 or like a 7.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why it's not higher?
I definitely think I can stop with the smoking thing, but I just don't know if the whole like butter to oil thing because I'm not really familiar with oil, so I would have to like try to look up some. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty much the same as I would use with regular butter, but um, like when I use it on my toast and stuff, do I use oil or would I? Is there other like kind of butter alternatives?
Yeah, so it is recommended you could switch to a margarine.
Okay.
And if specifically, if you can find in your supermarket a margarine with that contains something called plant stanols,
Okay.
sterols. Um, so you can look for that. I've seen also like margarines like Smart Balance that come out with something that has a little bit more olive oil in it. If you want to write down a few key things that you can look for when you are looking for a replacement, um, if you want to compare the saturated fat content
Mhm.
and the trans fat
Okay.
on the nutrition labels, and then if you see anything that says, omega-3,
Okay.
and then like I said, if you see any, and I can write this down for you and give it to you, and then if you see anything that says, that it contains a plant um, stanol,
Okay.
sterol, I don't know. Um, okay, so Definitely if you want to just look around and see for your toast. And then as far as cooking, yeah, olive oil should be a pretty easy replacement, but I understand what you mean about for your toast. You definitely don't want to be putting
Yeah, of course.
oil on your toast. So yeah, you can definitely look for some other replacements. Do
Okay.
you have any other questions?
No, I think that I got a lot of information. They're seems like pretty easy, like little changes that I can make. Um, so yeah, as of right now, I don't have any questions.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this handout and I'm going to give you the goals that we wrote down and some of the things that you can look for on the nutrition label. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me. I'll give you my contact information. And next time we'll talk about, how your goals are going and how we can modify them if we need to. How does
Okay,
that sound?
that sounds awesome.
All right, well, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.